Hi everyone, welcome to Poetology. Today I want to show you some books that I use as a creative coach and that will also be useful to anyone who is mentoring artists or writers or a teacher in these fields, as well as if you're an artist yourself and would like to use resources to help you move through the various phases of an artistic project. I will start with books by Maisel himself. Maisel is probably the most well-known creativity coach. He is the one who has developed most of the literature on the topic, and one of his bestsellers is Fearless Creating. This book was published in 1995. It's been around for a while, and it is for writers, visual artists, musicians, actors, and creators in any field. A step-by-step guide to starting and completing your work of art. So this book deals with having an initial idea, developing a practice, how to start a project, how to move on through the various phases and obstacles that will come with the project, and how to complete the project and send it out into the world. It deals with many mental blocks that you might encounter along the way. For example, there is a passage about being alone, how to be alone and deal with the fact that while you're creating, you will often be alone. Or what to do at times when you hate your project, when you just cannot stand it anymore, how to acknowledge it and move on to a hopefully easier phase, or at least a more meaningful phase of being able to see things through. It's a book that I use myself. It's a recommendation I would make to almost anyone who's interested in that topic and who wants very down-to-earth practical advice. A similar book, but one that I do not have, and to be perfectly honest with you, I haven't read yet, is Coaching the Artist Within, also by Maisel. It's a very similar book in purpose. The description I can read out to you. Coaching the Artist Within is the first book to explain the techniques that creativity coaches use to help their clients survive and thrive in the arts. Designed to help any person become more creative, this book offers a complete program for developing the habits that make creating an everyday routine. There are 12 lessons and numerous exercises, and it contains anecdotes about Maisel's clients. So it teaches you to be your own coach using practical elements from Maisel's work as a coach. It sounds very similar to Fearless Creating, but it was written later and incorporates a bit more, I think, of the author's experience. It was published in 2005, so a full decade after Fearless Creating. Next are two more recent books that are edited by Maisel in collaboration with many of the creativity coaches whom I assume took his courses, as I did, on creativity coaching. The first one is Inside Creativity Coaching, 40 inspiring case studies from around the world. And you have 40 different coaches sharing 40 different quick lessons that they have learned in practice, that they have tried out repeatedly with clients, and that you can implement as well with your own clients / students / yourself if you encounter some of these issues. Some are about overcoming stage fright, for example, or how to return to the marketplace as an artist, or how to create for yourself and not just for success, etc. And each one of these has a quick description of how a particular client encountered the issue, how the coach worked with that client, and then there are some learning points and self-coaching questions included as well. So you can easily implement these little nuggets that coaches have developed. It's good to broaden things up because if you work with Maisel, you become very familiar with his way of thinking. But it's nice to see what other generations of coaches have done with what they have received and where they have taken the work with a bit more of their own personality factoring in the way they work. The creativity workbook for coaches and creatives is very much a companion piece to Inside Creativity Coaching. It simply contains not just case studies, but exercises you can try that these coaches have implemented many times in their own sessions with clients. For example, this chapter is titled Feeling Your Way to Creativity by Mary Ann Burroughs. And it starts with an exercise description and then tells you how to do it in session or as homework, and then has sections for home use if you're using it for yourself, and it ends with the client results. So if you're working again with students, or you're mentoring writers or coaching artists, etc., it's very helpful to have these ideas to implement at times when it comes in handy. And it also gives you ideas of possibilities, different ways of working from what comes naturally, different approaches that can be tried out when clients face certain issues, or where I myself am struggling with a particular difficulty in my own creative practice. The last of the books I have at hand is Coaching Creativity by Gash, about transforming your practice. And again, it is good both to use for yourself or to use with clients. It is a very in-depth look at creativity coaching and how creativity works. So, for example, it has sections on creativity and the psyche, creativity in neurology and the physical body, creativity in human doing, creativity therapy, and how to coach a creative process. And again, then there is an entire section, part 5, that looks at different ways of coaching. For example, through journaling, poetry, or story, how to use humor and provocation, how to use evocative environments and evocative objects. I haven't finished reading this book, but I feel like going through it as a creative coach is like going through a new level of training that I hadn't encountered before. Now, all 3 of these are published by Routledge, and it does look like this publisher is specializing in creative coaching books, because I encountered another 2 books that caught my attention, and they are both by Routledge. The first one is Coaching the Creative Impulse, Psychological Dynamics and Professional Creativity by Thea Mikkelsen. Again, that book looks like it's pretty in-depth and has a lot to bring. The only reason why I haven't bought it yet is that when I first saw professional creativity, I thought it meant professional artist, but I think it's actually more oriented towards corporate work. It talks about the creative impulse as a whole, and not necessarily creative work as in, painting, performing, writing. So I will keep an eye on it. It seems interesting, but that's why I don't have it yet. And the last one, which will only be published next year, is titled Collage as a Creative Coaching Tool, a comprehensive resource for coaches and psychologists by Andréa. If you've been watching, you know that I'm very enthusiastic about collage. So obviously this one puts 2 things that I love together, and that makes it really, really intriguing. It presents what it calls the collage coaching technique, how to use collage beyond the vision board. The description reads, Collage as a creative coaching tool is a stimulating and informative resource introducing the collage coaching technique. This 3-stage creative process unlocks unconscious thinking, enabling profound psychological insight. Emphasis is on the qualities inherent in collage creation that allows clients to reconstruct their internal narrative and move forward purposefully and effectively. And it will include case studies, client reflections, and the author's experience with it. So this sounds very interesting to me. I'm not sure whether the method will be a bit too rigid, because I quite like to have lots of ideas to work with rather than these are the 3-stage processes that you're supposed to reproduce. But I am waiting. for the book to come out and for the reviews to come to see if this is interesting. Right, so these are 7 titles that you can look at if you want to know more about coaching, whether it's coaching clients or coaching yourself. And I hope they help anyone who is engaged in the writing process themselves and or facilitating the work of other artists and writers. Please let me know in the comments below if any of these has caught your attention, and I am looking forward to seeing you again with another video very soon. Bye!